So today I'm rocking the potato head because our lesson today has lots of potatoes.
Hi there, I hope you guys are all good. Today's method of cooking. Oh well, we've got a few methods of cooking. We're going to do some shallow frying, some deep frying and some slow cooking. So for slow cooking, what I have done, and I'm just going to take you on a tour of my kitchen, is in my slow cooker here, oh, I think you can see it, yep, is silver side. And we popped it in here about, what time was it today, George?
Like 10.
About 10 o'clock today. Popped it on high and we are cooking it for about 6 hours. If you can see it in there. It's just slowly cooking so that it cooks the meat and the meat becomes nice and tender. So that's been cooking for quite a while now. It's still got a little bit more to go. While I am waiting for that to cook, I am going to make Dupion potatoes, which is really nice. And I'm also going to do some homemade funnel cakes as dessert. They're quite interesting and lots of fun. But for the Dupion potatoes, I have already peeled my potatoes because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do that. I'm just going to chop them into pieces and I'm going to put them on to boil and let them cook until they're soft enough for me to mash. So remember, boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. So once it boils and those bubbles are bubbling along in the pot, it means that the temperature of the pot or the temperature of the water is 100 degrees Celsius. So I've popped my pots in here. I've put my potatoes. I'm going to make a blooper thing, I think. So I'm going to pop them on to boil. Helps if you light the right stove element. Alright, so they're going to boil. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a choux pastry. So normally choux pastry is used when you make chocolate eclairs, cream puffs and things like that. But this is actually going to be a savoury choux pastry because what we're going to do is we're actually going to mash the potato that I'm cooking at the moment up and then we're going to mix it into the choux pastry, which and then we'll deep fry them, which gives it a really different taste and texture and it's quite nice. Actually, it's really nice. I tell a lie because every time I make them, I usually eat them all. So what I'm going to do is I've got 125 mils of water and I'm going to pop that in my saucepan. Along with that, I'm going to add 50 grams of butter and I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, which I have got here because I broke the bag. So I'm only going to use about a teaspoon of sugar just to give it a little bit of a sweeten. Alright, so I'm going to pop this on the stove also. I'm actually going to bring that to the boil. Once I've brought that to the boil, I'm then going to add my 3/4 cup of flour and I'm going to mix it on top of the stove until it forms a dough. And that's what we call a roux, which we have made before. Once that's made and come together, I'm then going to add my eggs to it and I'll be able to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to take the flour over here. And I'm also going to try and set my camera up so that you can see what's happening. So it's really important to remember the methods of cooking because if you don't know the methods of cooking, then why bother cooking at all? Got my trusty wooden spoon, one of my favourite items in the kitchen. I have like about 5 of them because I love to be able to use a wooden spoon in the kitchen. I find them nice and easy to use and they feel really good in your hands and they wash up nicely, the wooden spoons. So I'm a bit of a wooden spoon fan, as you can tell. So I'm just bringing it to the boil. It takes a little bit to go. Where I live we have gas, but it's gas in a bottle, so it's a little bit slower than what you would have when you're connected to the mains gas. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer for me to actually cook things on the stove top because it just comes out at a little bit slower rate. But we're getting there. Won't be too long. I hope you guys are doing well in remote learning. I keep hoping that we go back sooner rather than later, but time will tell, I guess. If you get a chance to cook in remote learning, that'd be really good. I have been putting the recipes up in the Teams channel in the file section. So if you go into the file section, you'll see some of the recipes that I've been making for you guys, or that I will make for you guys. You can download the recipes and have a go at cooking at home. Really important that we get that theory work done, and you can get it to me as soon as you can, because when we do come back, I really want to get into doing lots of cooking. All right, so this is coming to the boil quite nicely. I don't know if you can see that in there, but it's boiling up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to stir that until it cooks out and it cooks into a nice dough. And I just ended up with half of it up my tiles, but hey, some good cooks are messy cooks. That's just the way it is. I get to clean it up later. So I'm just stirring that, and if you can see, it's forming a nice ball. Alright, so as I said, this is called roux. So it's forming a nice ball in there. You should be able to see that there. I'm going to let that cool for a little bit, and then I'm actually going to mix my 3 eggs into it until it's sort of runny, but not too runny because we want to be able to pipe it. So I'm just going to turn you off for a bit, and I will be back. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my electric mixer, I've got my pot with the roux in it for the choux pastry, and what I'm going to do is add my eggs one at a time. And what we're actually looking for you want to make sure that this has cooled down a little bit before you put your eggs in, because you don't want it to actually cook your eggs. What we're actually looking for is it to have a nice shiny texture and to ensure that it's not too runny. So I just put my second egg in. So I've mixed my second egg, and it's a little bit dull in colour, so I'm putting my third egg in. And as I said, the aim is for the actual choux pastry mixture is to have a bit of a shine on it. So I'm really happy with that. It's come up quite nice. So now all I've got to do is wait for my potatoes to boil, and then I'm going to mash them up, and then I'm going to mash them up using 1 egg yolk, a bit of salt and pepper, a bit of nutmeg, and then I'm actually going to mix it to this, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm back again. My head's been chopped off, but no, not really, I'm just joking. So what I'm going to mix up next is homemade funnel cakes. These are really cool, interesting dessert. So what I've got in my bowl already is 3/4 cup of plain flour. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of corn flour. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm adding a tablespoon of brown sugar. I'm also going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Alright, I'm going to give this a bit of a mix in here. Now to this, I am going to add 1/4 cup of water, or 60 mils of water. I'm also going to add 2 eggs. So it's a little bit like, I guess, a pancake mixture, but it hasn't got any, just gone off my train of thought. It's a bit like a pancake mixture is what I'm saying. But what we're going to do with it is we're going to put it in a sauce bottle, and I'm going to have a pan of, a fry pan with some oil in it, and we are going to squirt it into the oil as once the oil's heated up, and it actually it comes out like lace, and it's actually really cool. So I've just mixed that up nicely there. I'm going to let that sit for a bit just to set, and then I will set up the fry pan and show you what we're going to do with that. So as I said, it's just like a pancake batter. No worries. Hopefully you can see that okay. I didn't have a sauce bottle, so I have used a throwaway piping bag. So I put my mixture in here, and all you do is just randomly pipe it like that. And the idea is that the funnel cake actually looks like lace. So I'm hoping you can see that cooking up in there. Now they do cook pretty quick, and you just want to make sure that they're nice and golden brown on either side. I'm just using my egg flip. It's cooked up really nice. Flipping it over. Hopefully you can see that. It's got like a lacy kind of texture about it. They're actually really cool, and they're crunchy. Usually sprinkle them with a bit of icing sugar and pop some ice cream on them, and they stack really nicely. So I've just taken it out of the oil, popped it on a bit of paper towel, so that the paper towel takes some of the excess oil, kind of the oil soaks into the paper towel. So again, just go a bit crazy. The main thing when you're shallow frying, deep frying, is making sure that you don't let the oil heat up too much, because we sure don't want it to catch on fire. So I tend to, oil has a heat point, and never walk away from things that are cooking in oil either. It's really important that you stay around while that's being done, and also never add water to oil, because that can cause the oil to spit, which you can get burnt. Now these don't take very long to cook. Like I said, they look pretty cool. That hasn't taken long at all. Strain it off, popping that on the paper towel. Going to pop the next one in. Going to make this one a little bit bigger, so I'm going to sort of do big, medium, small. I'm going to stack them up on my plate a little bit later. While that's cooking, I'm going to check my potatoes, see how they're mashing up. Got a little bit more, still a little bit firm. But they're bubbling away there very nicely. Alright, these aren't taking too long to cook, which is good. Again, hopefully you can see that coming out quite nice. Another one in. Kind of really fun to make, very quick. Nice easy little dessert to have. Obviously shallow frying these, and because I don't have a deep fryer, I'm actually going to shallow fry my Doupion potatoes when I get to doing those. So again, come up really nice. I'm happy with these. If my husband's lucky, he might get some for dessert. Again, just have a bit of a play. Like I said, you can put it in an old sauce bottle. Make sure it's clean though, it's got no sauce in it. I'm lucky enough I've got some throwaway piping bags that I can pop it into. Again, I will put the recipes in the our Teams page, but in the file, under file, and then under recipes. Alright, flip it over again. More. Potatoes coming along very nicely. Alright, I'm just going to cook up the rest of these and then I will come back and show you what we're doing next. Okay, so I have mashed up my potato with my egg yolk. I've added a bit of salt and pepper and a bit of nutmeg. And what I'm going to do is pop my potato mashed in with my choux pastry. And then I'm going to mix it together really well. And it's really important to make sure that you get the choux pastry mixture mixed right through properly, because that's what's going to help hold our little potato balls together when we pipe them. So I'm actually going to pipe these using the piping bag into the oil so that hopefully they deep fry into little round balls. They'd be really nice. They're really nice as a side dish. They'd be really good as a like a cocktail dish. You could in a cocktail party, you could have the little balls and have some sauces with them to dip them in. They're quite as I said, a really yummy and versatile, interesting dish. So this is what my mixture looks like. So again, I'm going to fill my piping bag up, and then I will show you what we're going to do with them in the fry pan once I pan fry them. So I'll be back. Okay, so Dupion potatoes. So I've put my roux and mixed potato mash all mixed together in my piping bag. I've cut a fair hole off at the end. What I am going to do is I'm going to be piping them into the fry pan. Now, like I said, I don't have a deep fryer at home, so I'm going to have to turn these a little bit. So all I'm doing is popping it on the bottom. Oops, that one didn't turn out very well. Trying to put it on the bottom and create a little ball. Like I said, they might not be perfect because I don't have a deep fryer, but it'll get the same. Actually, that one looks like a snail, so we'll have a bit of fun with these. I might actually make them a bit long ones like churros maybe. That might work better for me, because when you've got a deep fryer to do them in, they sort of cook really well both sides. So I think I'm going to make little long sausage ones just for something a bit different and make life a little bit easier. So I've popped quite a few in there. As I said, they're going to fry up to the nice and golden brown. Hopefully they'll work. Although they are cooking up very nicely. Oh, one of them's, the round one's cooked up, so I've just got to, these are, I'm just going to have to keep turning them because we want them to cook nicely inside. And we want to make sure that they're cooked the whole way through. So they're not doing too bad. As I said, they're not going to be perfect, but they'll be okay. We'll be able to do something with them. Which I think making them long means that they'll cook a little bit quicker than making them thick and round, which kind of is smart, I guess. Alright, they're cooking up nicely. Interesting. So I'm going to serve these up with my silver side, and I'll probably cook up some peas and corn and bacon to have with it as well. And I will plate it all up and show you what it really looks like. So as I said, that one's cooked up nicely. So that's what you're looking for, nice and golden brown. As I said, not perfectly round. If I was at school in the kitchen, I probably would do a much nicer job with them. But then in saying that, the long ones don't look like, don't look too bad. They actually look like long chips. So I've Could be starting something new here. Another round one all cooked up. I'm just going to drain it off and then I'll open it up and show you what it looks like inside. So I think that one just needs a little bit longer. So what's really nice about these is they're really light and fluffy. They have a lovely texture inside. Look, not 100% healthy because we're deep frying them, but you know, there's sometimes food that can look really good instead of having chips or mashed potato or baked potato. You could try this and just something a little bit different. All right, so they're cooking up really nicely now, browning up. I'm actually really happy with those. And I quite like the idea of them like that. Well, there you go. And just let those cool and then I'll open one up so you can see what the inside looks like. The main thing if you're using a throwaway piping bag is that you don't put the tip in the fat oil because they're plastic, it'll obviously melt. So you need to make sure that you hold it up a little bit and then go to pipe it in. Alright, as you can see, bubbling away there nicely. I'm going to film a little bit. I filmed this on Snapchat. It actually looks really good. I actually really love watching the food cook away. There's something satisfying about it, I think. Alright, I'm going to, that's what I was going to do. I was going to show you what it's like in the middle. So if you open that up, it's cooked really nicely in the middle there. Quite nice and soft, texture's good. We'll see what it tastes like. Tastes delicious. Alright, I'll be back a little bit later with these all cooked up. Okay, so I'm back. So my silver side has cooked up beautifully. You can see the steam steaming off it. So I've got my plate and I'm going to plate it up. I actually didn't cook any extra veggies. I'm just going to do the silver side and the Dupion potatoes. But you can always add, you know, some veggies to it, whatever you like. So my Dupion potatoes, as I said, they've turned out long. They actually look quite nice. And Georgie just pinched one and dropped it on the floor, which was pretty funny. Sorry, Georgie, just picking on you.
That's right.
If you're wondering who George is, that's my daughter. All right, so I'm just plating these up on the plate. Remember, presentation's always really important, and you know that I like a good sized plate. Don't plate it up on a crappy plate. I'm just going to find a bit of herb to go on top. What have I got? Ooh, I've got a bit of thyme, because I think the plate needs a little bit of colour. It's going to be boring. So, I'm just going to pop a little bit of thyme on top, and I am going to sneeze. I think I've got the sneezes. All right, so if you have a bit of a look, that is the slow cooked silver side and the shallow fried Dupion potatoes. And I've just added a little bit of thyme for a bit of colour there. Okay, so these are our funnel cakes. Do you see what I mean when they look like lace? So all I'm doing is piling 3 on my plate, because you always work with odd numbers. Don't work with even numbers because it just doesn't look right. I've got some icing sugar and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. Keep it nice and simple. I would add a bit of ice cream, but I'm afraid the ice cream's gone in our house. And all I'm going to do is I've got a little strawberry. I'm just going to fan the strawberry. So remember, cut it into little slices, fan it open like that, and I'm just going to pop that on top of my funnel cake. You could serve them with a bit of custard, a bit of cream. That's the funnel cake there. All right, so pretty simple, quite nice to eat. I will take a photo of it and add that to the end so that it looks a bit better. So that is our meals for today. Slow cooked silver side. It's cooked for about 8 hours, or 4 to 8 hours today. Dupion potatoes. So we made the roux, then added the mashed potato to it, and funnel cakes. Okay, all right, talk to you